Hey friends, I know it's been a while, at least for the 5 people who remembered when I first uploaded my videos. I could give a super in-depth explanation of where I've been, why my videos look different, why I stopped uploading, but that's not why you're here. You're here to learn, so let's get into some mom jeans. So to start off, the song has both a rhythm and a lead part that play over each other at different times, and I'll be teaching you both, but we're going to be starting with the rhythm part. Um, if you want to skip around, if you want to go to the lead part only or come back later, there's going to be chapters in the video and in the description. Feel free to jump around if you need to. In the beginning, I'm going to talk about some of the things, some of the lingo that I'm going to be using. So if you're newer, stick around for that because you might not get some of the things that I'm saying. So like I said, if you've been playing a while, you probably know what I'm about to talk about, but I'm just going to break down the guitar a little bit, so whenever I explain things, it'll be a little bit easier, especially for the people who are still starting out. One of the first things I'm going to talk about is your strings, how I'm going to reference them. Just starting from the lowest to the highest, it's going to go E, A, D, G, B, and E again. This one's going to be referenced as the high E because it's high, and then low E because it's low. So now that we got that out of the way, we are going to be using a capo for the song. So we're going to be putting it on the first fret. If you don't have a capo, it's not the end of the world. It just means that whenever you play it, you can still play along. It's just not going to be in the same key, so it might sound a little bit lower than what the song sounds like and what we're going to play it as. But now that we got the capo on, I just want you to remember that when I reference, let's say I'm going to play the A string on the 3rd fret, I'm talking about the 3rd fret in relation to the capo. So we're going to be using, if I don't have any hands on the strings, you could see that's going to be open. So open E, open A, D, etc. And then we're going to be counting open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know how it goes from there. But just using the capo as our home base so we don't get any confusion later. Just know that whenever I'm referencing fret 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, it's based off of the capo. And yeah, let's get into it. The rhythm section is pretty simple. There's a few flourishes and flares that we'll add in there, but they aren't really required to make the song sound good. It'll just be for the more intermediate players. If you're just beginning, no worries. I'll show you how to play. So starting off, we're going to be starting with a variation of the C chord, which we're going to go take your middle finger, put it on the 3rd of the A. You're not going to really do anything with your pointer finger right now, but we're going to take our ring finger and our pinky, and we're going to put it on the 3rd of the B and the 3rd of the E, the high E that is. And you can leave, you could leave D and G open for now, so when you strum it all together, it should sound like this. First chord, whenever I say C, that's going to be the shape that I'm referencing. Moving on to the next chord, we're going to leave our pinky and our ring finger where they're at, the high E and the B on the 3rd fret, and then we're going to take our middle finger and put it on the 3rd of the E, so it'll sound like this. Everything can still say open. So for the last chord of this progression, it's going to be the D chord, and if you recognize the shape, it's going to be actually an open C chord but moved up 2 frets. So if you want to take a C chord, if you already know that, like that, we're going to move it up 2 frets. So we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put it on the 5th of the A. We're going to take our middle finger, put it on the 4th of the D. We're going to take our pointer finger and put it on the 1st or the 3rd of the B. So if you strum it all together without the E string, it's going to sound like this. That's pretty much all for the chords. Just know that whenever I reference a C chord or a G chord or a D chord, I'm not referencing the normal open positions. I'm referencing the ones that we just went over right now. So yeah, let's get into the strumming patterns. So one more thing before we get into the strumming patterns. I do my strumming patterns a little bit differently than everybody else. If you notice a lowercase d or lowercase u, usually that means something like strum softly, or maybe just strum the top 2 strings just to add like a little bit of a rhythmic flair. This song does have a lot of those, so I just had to mention that before we started. The first part of this strumming pattern, I'm not going to use any chords just so that we can get the strumming pattern down before we move on to playing it all together. We're going to do a small strum, a little, just these top 2 strings, the A and the D, because it's going to start on the C. So we're going to go small strum, full strum down, up, up, small strum down, down, up, up, down, small strum down, down, up, small strum down, down, up, down. Once again, small strum down, down, up, baby strum, down, up, down, little strum, down, up, little strum down, up, down. If we want to put chords on top of that, it'll sound like. If you played it through a few times and you're starting to feel confident with the strumming pattern and the chord progression, I welcome you to try out the little flair, the little flourish that we're going to throw on here to make it sound more like the original recording. Pretty much, we're going to keep the same chords, like how we were playing before, C, G, and then D, right? But you know how we had the open D? What we're going to do is on the second down strum of the first chord, so we're playing like C, it's like on the second down strum, we're going to just hammer down that pointer finger to the second of the D. So it's just going to be. Let's move on to the second one. The first one. Second one's going to be open G, like how we were playing before, but then you're going to take your pointer finger and hammer down on the second of the A, on the first down strum, the first full down strum of the G. So you got that? Now, for the third chord, the D chord, I like to do the first strum open. So just taking out my middle finger and then throwing down a hammer on the first real strum again. So it's like. Altogether, it would be like. And you can just throw that little flair around really wherever you want it. Sometimes I like to put it on the first down strum of the C, like, and then sometimes I give it a little bit of space, do the strumming pattern, and then throw it on the second. It really just depends on how natural it feels to you, how much variation you want in there. Sometimes it's nice to add a little bit of pizzazz every once in a while, change it up a little bit. But yeah, that's it for the first section of the rhythm. Let's move on to the second. And now that we got that section down, let's move on to the B section. It uses some of the same chords, but there's a couple new chords thrown in there. A little bit of a different strumming pattern, which we'll talk about. It is a little bit more complicated, but once you hear it played, I'm sure that you'll be able to get it. So we're going to start off with that same C chord. Instead of having it open like this, we're going to put our pointer finger down on the second of the D string, just like that, so it'll make the C chord. And then after that, it'll go to the D chord that we're used to the G chord that we're used to. And then here's a new chord, F sharp. We're going to just take our middle finger off and then put our pointer finger down on the second of the E, the low E specifically. Now that we got F sharp, pretty much this entire time, other than when we make the D chord up here, we're not going to be moving our pinky and our ring finger. They're just going to be staying the same in that same little spot. So G, F sharp, then we're going to go to a B chord, which we're going to take our pointer finger, put it on the second of the A string, take our middle finger, put it on the second of the D string, leave our pinky and our ring where they are, B, and then we're going to slide back up to the D at the end. So altogether it would go C, D, G, F, B, D. So now you got the chord transitions down, we're going to move on to the strumming pattern. For this section, again, I'm just going to mute all the strings so we can focus on the strumming pattern. To start with, we're going to do a little down strum, full down strum, up, up, little down strum, down, up. And then we're going to go little down strum, down, up, little down strum, down, up, little down strum, down, up, little down strum, down, up. So now that you got the strumming pattern down, we can try it with the chords. Just remember, it's going to go C, D, G, F sharp, B, D. I'll be repeating it during the song, but just give you a little refresher. We're going to start with the C, and we're going to go to D, to G, to F sharp, to B, to D again, and then back to C. So once again, I'm going to play a little bit faster this time. Well, that's everything for the rhythm guitar. Later we'll be talking about the actual structure of the song, but for right now, let's move on to the lead part. It's pretty simple. There's a few techniques that if you haven't figured out by now, it'll be a good song to practice them with. Just some hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides. But once you get it down, it becomes second nature. To start with, we're going to start on the high E, and we're going to do a hammer-on and a pull-off from the second and the third string, so it's going to be like, just practice that. By itself, it sounds kind of weird, but I promise we'll work it in there. But just remember, pull-off, hammer-on, and then to the third of the B. Practice that. From there, we're going to do open, B, hammer on to the first, slide to the third, so all together. And now for the second section of the riff, we're going to bar the B and the E on the third fret. If you can't do that, feel free to use your middle finger like this. Once we're in this position, we're going to alternate from the E to the B, so it's going to go. And we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put it on the 5th of the E, still alternating, then to the 7th of the E, and we're just going to repeat that whole thing again. So now for the next section of the riff, it's going to be that same beginning part with the pull-offs and the slide, but once we get to the bar section, instead of going up to the 7th where we usually would, we're going to just go down to the 3rd on the E. So it'll be like, again, it'll be, and then on the last variation of it, it's going to be the same thing again from the beginning, the hammer-ons and the pull-offs. And then where we would have gone to the 7th or the 3rd, we're just going to stay on the 5. And we're going to do... And that's everything for the intro riff. It's just, again, if I'm going to play it, I'm going to play all the way through at speed so that you can get an idea of what it really sounds like. Just practice it a couple times and then play it along with me. And that would be playing over the chord progression in the beginning. That's pretty much all for that riff. Whenever we go to the instrumental sections that happen a little bit later, that split up the verses, it's that same general idea, but with a little bit different variations on the barred part. So for the first instrumental section, it's going to be that same, right? And then we're going to go up to the 5, 7, but after we've done one hit on the 7, we're going to go down to the 5 again. So again, it's going to go. All together. And then for the second section of that riff, same intro, and then we're just going to stay on that 5 once again. And there's only 2 of those for that instrumental section. That's all you do. There's also another instrumental section later on. It's the same exact riff. You don't change it at all. It's just that same variation of going up to the 7, going down to the 5, and then staying on the 5 for the second riff. So that was it for the intro and the instrumental parts. For the outro, instead of playing down here, we're going to move up to the 7 and the 8 and do that same little hammer-on. And then go to the 8 of the B string. So there's different ways you could do it. You could do and then move your middle finger over, or you could go and do it like that, or you could even do like whatever feels comfortable to you. Don't ever feel bad about not playing it like the tutorial or not playing it like your favorite artist or whatever. Whatever feels comfortable for you works. So that's all that matters. From here, we're going to slide up to the 10. back down to the 8, and then hit the 9 on the G string, 8 on the B string, 10 on the B string, slide up, go back down to the 10, and then that's it for that little section. It's kind of like the beginning where it's just variations on that same riff, so we're going to play the same thing again pretty much. Once we get here to the last note, we're going to hit 10 on the E string. So, and then for the third variation, the beginning is the same as always. And then instead of going higher, we're going to go lower down to the 8. So, and then for the last variation, it's probably the easiest one. You're going to do again the hammer on, slide up, back down to the 8, 9 on the G, 7 on the G, and then 4 on the G with a little bit of a bend. And don't forget, for the outro portion of the song, you have the riff that's up here playing for the last 4 chord progressions. The riffs at speed should sound something like this. And then that's it. That's everything for the solo part. Now we're going to be talking about the structure of the song, because you got to know where to place those solos, you got to know where to sing your parts, how long to play, all of that. So for the first section, where it's the chord progression C, G, D, right? You're going to play it 4 times for the intro while the solo is playing. And then after 4 times of the solo playing and 4 chord progressions, the solo will stop, the verse will pick up for another 4 chord progressions, and we're going to stay on that same A section, where it goes C, G, D. From there, we're going to play another 2, which will be the instrumental section where the second bout of riffs come from. That part, right? That's going to be played for 2 chord progressions total. And then for the next section, the next verse, it's going to be 2 of the A section, C, G, D. You're going to play that twice. And then that's when the B section comes in, and you just do C, D, G, F, sharp, B, D. And you're going to play that 4 times. Go back to the original chord progression, play that for the instrumental section that's, again, 2 chord progressions long. Play that twice. And then the verse will start. You're going to play, again, the same A section for another 2 chord progressions. And then the B section will start again, where C, D, G, F sharp, B, D. You're going to play that 2 more times. And then we're going to go back to the A section for the outro and the last part of the verse. C, G, D, and back to C. You want to finish on the C because that's how the whole song resolves. Well, that's all for the lesson. Thank you for watching. If you want, there will be a demonstration at the end of the outro that shows the song played all the way through. If you found it helpful, leave it a like. Go down in the comments if there's any songs that you'd like me to give a shot. I'll try to work them into the schedule. We'll see how it goes. But that's it. See you again soon. Bye.
what'll it take for you to see things the way that I do? Just 4 minutes so I can be brutally honest with you about everything I'm still so afraid of. Being there is hard when things eventually fall apart. So would you do it if I told you how I felt? Would you stick through it when things aren't quite as easy as they once were? 'Cause I have a tendency to take on more than I can handle, and you have a tendency to get mad when you're bored. Would you risk your sanity plus all the other things you might not end up liking about me? Would you promise to love me more than you might hate me? So I'll stay sober, at least smoke a little less weed if you'll live closer to me, so I can still sleep at your house when it's cold and it's dark outside. I've never slept that well in my whole life, and it's nice to not have to try sometimes, 'cause no one's ever made me feel the way that you do. No one's ever made me feel as loved as you do. Nobody knows me the way that you do. No one's ever been this good to me, not even myself.